We go from up to Ludington down to over to Holland, over to Portland, and then in Grand Rapids there's quite a few Catholic churches and Catholic schools that are attached to those churches. Our mission for the Diocese of Grand Rapids is an alliance of Catholic schools where Christ illuminates learning and life. And we said we try to focus on that every day, all day long. And our vision is that an alliance of Catholic schools expanding outstanding Catholic education ministry through innovation and collaboration that's affordable and accessible to families investing time, talent, and treasure. Most of our Catholic schools in the diocese are a tuition-based school. Mine is probably the only, well, it is the only one in Grand Rapids that is tuition-free. We have a different way of running things in Rockford, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But for the most part, families pay to send their children to our schools. In Rockford, people move to Rockford a lot for the schools because they're so, they're so outstanding that they move there for them, and then the good people at our school have chosen us over the public school as a different education system for their children. Here's just some facts about Catholic education. Overall academic achievement is higher. Catholic school students graduate from high school, attend college, graduate from college, and get higher paying jobs at an exceptionally higher rate than other religious, private, and public charter schools. And that's all, you can see where all the studies came from. And this is marketing stuff that we put together for our schools. You didn't used to have to market Catholic schools in the past, but now we do. There's not as many children out there as there used to be, and families aren't as tied to their Catholic education as they used to be. So we do quite a bit of marketing for our schools. Our graduates are more likely to vote. They're likely to have higher wages, more civically engaged. They're more tolerant to diverse views and more committed to service as adults. With attendance in any Catholic school for any period of time, our students are 4 times more likely to be attending church at age 45. So hopefully we're creating lifelong Catholics and Christians. They're 3 times more likely to be confirmed. That's one of the sacraments that they go through as an adult. 2 times more likely to be married in the church. And then another statistic at the bottom, the longer students attend Catholic schools, the more regular they go to church, the more generous they tend to be, and they tend to give back to their community through service. Just a little bit about my story. I am a graduate of 12 years of Catholic school in Jackson. I went to Grand Valley State and got my bachelor's degree. I was actually a physical therapy major for the first 3 years of my life, and then made a change as a senior, and then ended up getting a bachelor's degree in science, and then went on to Nazareth College in Kalamazoo to get my master's in elementary education. I did my student teaching at St. Monica's Catholic School in Kalamazoo. Once I got out, there wasn't a lot of jobs for teachers at that time, and so I started subbing quite a bit, and I subbed in both Catholic and public schools. I got hired as a teacher aide in a pre-primary impaired preschool. I worked with little 4-year-olds who had speech and language issues, and I was, this new graduate almost with a master's degree in education. I was working in this little preschool classroom. I ended up getting a teaching job at Holy Trinity Catholic School in Comstock Park. My plan was to teach there for 2 years and then get a job in the public schools and make more money, and that would be my career. And I've now been in Catholic education here in Grand Rapids for almost 20 years. So the call to leave has not really ever been made to me, I guess. I just kind of found where I think I've belong. It's more of a ministry for me. More of a calling. I think I tried to fight God's plan for a long time in what I wanted to do and what He wanted me to do. So now I've come to accept what it is I'm supposed to do. I have to say I love my job 90% of the time. There's those days where I have to drag myself out of bed and go in and face those children every day. But for the most part, it's been wonderful. As a second grade teacher, I interviewed for the principal position at my school. And our pastor, the priest, is responsible for hiring, the final say in hiring a principal, and he didn't feel like I had enough experience at that time. So they created a position, and I was assistant principal. I taught full-time, and I was assistant principal for part-time. I dealt with all the athletics and some discipline issues throughout the day. I got my first principal job at St. Michael's Catholic School in Coopersville. A small little school. I think we had 100 children at that time. I think we grew to about 120, and since then it's closed, unfortunately. But I moved to Our Lady of Consolation up in Rockford 11 years ago. We started with about 210 students, and today we're at 302. So we're real excited about what we're doing up there. The diocese has 25 elementary schools. They're not all K-8. Some of them are K-6. Some of them are, I think we have one school that's 2-8. They don't have a kindergarten or a first grade. I don't know why. But for the most part, we have the elementary middle school model, and then we have 4 high schools in the diocese. 3 are diocesan and 1's private. Muskegon Catholic was purchased a few years ago and became a private Catholic high school. They still have, they still teach religion there, but they're not owned by the diocese. We have 1 Catholic college in our diocese, is Aquinas College. The diocese serves 11 counties. There's over 4,000 students enrolled currently in the elementary schools and 1,300 in the 4 high schools. Our Lady of Consolation there in Rockford. Like I said, I have 302 enrolled in pre-K through 8. I have 13 full-time teachers, so we have 1 grade of everything. We're kind of at our max in most of our elementary grades, so some of our teachers have 28 to 30 students in their class. They have full-time aides along with them. I said I have 7 aides, and then we have Title I paraprofessional that comes into our building once a week, or actually 4 days a week to help with reading. One of the questions that Carol asked me is about education, and is it what's required of teachers in our schools. I actually have 7 of our staff, and we have some part-time teachers as well, and myself included, but we have 7 of us on our staff that have master's degrees. 9 have BS or BAs, and then we have 1, our preschool teacher has a CDA, which is what's required to teach preschool. So when I click on the website, it doesn't go to the screen, so we're going to bypass that for now. I had a cute little video I'd show you of my kids. Some of our marketing materials that we use just kind of explains that, why we feel like our school is a better choice for our families. All of our staff, it used to be it's a kind of a myth that Catholic school teachers did not have degrees. And I think maybe in the past that may have been true, but today all teachers that are hired have to be, have a bachelor's degree and have Michigan certification. And like I said, that might not have been done in the past. We have our own curriculum that we use, as the diocese created a few years back. We've been looking at Common Core. It's kind of a bad word, I think, right now in some circles, but we've looked at it. We feel there's some good pieces to it, so some of our teachers are using some of Common Core, kind of mixed in with the diocesan curriculum that we're currently using. I feel like in the next year or two, somebody's going to create a Catholic Common Core that's going to be universal for our country. Like I said, all of our decisions and all of our curriculum is based on our faith. We believe that we have a strong sense of community in our school. I think our teachers are really happy to be where they're at. They make a little bit of a sacrifice, if you probably know. Religious-based schools aren't paid as much as public school teachers usually. Our starting salary at our school is $30,000. We're probably in the middle range. I know there's some other Catholic schools that pay higher, and I'm sure there's several that pay lower for that starting salary. We have a competitive sports program. So if you looked at our school compared to a public school, you wouldn't see a whole lot different in that respect. You would notice that our students wear uniforms every day, but I know a lot of the public schools today are wearing uniforms. We feel like it takes the haves and the have-nots and kind of puts them all on a level playing field. We ask that there's no insignia on there. They don't have their little alligators or their little polo man. They're all plain white or navy blue, so you can't tell who shopped at Myers or who shopped at, Macy's. We have a very strong sense of family in our school. We have, like I said, preschool through 8th grade. All of our students are paired with an older, we call them prayer buddies. So they get a prayer buddy at the beginning of the school year. They their job through that year then is to get to know their prayer buddy. They sit with them at Mass. They do lots of projects, service projects, and different holiday activities with them. But the main thing is it makes my heart swell in the, you're walking down the hall and here comes a little kindergartner and then their 8th grade prayer buddy, they slap each other high five or they give a lot of hugs. So it's really kind of cool. I would say most of our students know each other's names. Whoops. There we are. We just had our bishop at our school mass a couple weeks ago, and we did a school picture. So there's almost all of us. Our preschoolers were not there that day. I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about hiring practices for the Catholic schools. Like I said, in the past, I think some of the teachers that were there were not always certified to teach. But today, all of our teachers are certified, and we follow the what's it? I can't think of the word right now. You have to be certified to teach math if you're teaching math, and you have to. What is that?
Highly qualified.
What?
Highly qualified.
Yes, highly qualified. Thank you. Could not come up with that word. So highly qualified teacher. So if you're a math teacher, you're teaching math. Especially in our middle school where the students are changing from teacher to teacher. So I have a social studies teacher who has a social studies degree. I have a math teacher. And actually our math teacher is a secondary degree so that she can teach any math above what our kids can do in junior high, and they'll get credit for it in high school. So we had 2 of our kids who graduated last year who were started Algebra 2 in their high school. All the hiring it's the responsibility of the principal to do that. So in our building, what I would do if I have a middle school person to hire, I get my middle school team together. So when one of you walk in, you might find 4 or 5 of us sitting around a table to ask questions. And we try to do it in a way that makes you feel very comfortable and that each of us is asking different questions. We try to make it so it's more of just a dialogue rather than just firing question after question at you. We're looking at people who are confident. We're looking at people who have a good personality, somebody that we feel like is really going to fit in with our team. Those middle school teachers work really closely together. So when we just hired our new math teacher, we were actually down to the very last person, and we had a couple people that we thought, they would probably work, but when the last person came in, she blew us away, and it was like, yep, you're the one. It didn't take much to figure that out. So a lot of it's based on how will you fit in with our staff, and how will you work with the teachers that are already there. As a principal, it's difficult because when I came there 11 years ago, here's your staff. You have 11 teachers who you don't know and you haven't hired and you don't know how you work. So it's been kind of nice. I've had a few retire. I had to move one on, and I've hired now I think I have 2 left that I did not hire, and they just fit with our team right now. So it's kind of nice once you've been there for a while, you can build a team of people who work together and work together well. Criminal background checks, we do all that a regular public school would do. The question will come up all the time, do you have to be Catholic to teach in a Catholic school? It's preferable, I guess. If I had 2 people and they both had the same kind of qualifications and we felt both of them would be a good team member, and one was Catholic and one was not, I'd probably lean towards the Catholic because they have to teach, well, they might be teaching religion or something. If the Catholic wasn't as, if it was like this, I would go with this person, as long as they knew that in working in a Catholic school, you agree to what we teach and how we teach it, and you might not teach religion itself, but you would be part of that, like just immersed in that faith. All of our teachers are also have to be certified after their 2nd year of teaching, and if they're teaching religion for sure, in the diocesan catechist certification. So we spend the first, new teachers would look at that first certification requiring 50 hours of faith formation. So if you are, some of that would be covered through your classes that you're taking now, your methods classes and how to teach, and some of it would be covered in some of the programs or different things that you may have done. I know if like students from Aquinas have had some different classes in theology, so that would cover that. But I've had teachers who have come out of Grand Valley who have not taught in Catholic schools. They are Catholic, but they haven't really done a lot of study on their own. So we put them into a program where they're studying and they're clocking these hours so that they're prepared to teach the faith to the kids. I mentioned before that parents are a big part of our school. They choose this kind of education over the public system. So we are really partners with them in the whole education process. We, at our school, do not charge tuition for our kindergarten through 8th graders. What they did 20 years ago is set up a foundation for education in our parish. And any program in our parish that is educational, the foundation's goal is to pay 50% of the cost of that program. So 50% of our school budget, and we're almost at $1 million, so $500,000 of that comes in from donations of our families, from our church. Anyone, grandmas, grandpas, aunts, and uncles can make a donation to this foundation. We have a big fundraiser every year, a big auction and dinner, and that brings in about $40,000. We do other fundraisers to help this fund out. So our school is really relies on the generosity of our families. You could go through and look at, Rockford's kind of most people think Rockford's a very affluent area, and we do have quite a few families that have some money up there. But we also have some families who have very, very little. And I have students in my school who range that way. So I have families who probably donate thousands and thousands of dollars to our foundation, and I have families who might not give anything at all. So we looked for them to give their time and any talent they might have to come in and share with us. So we have a covenant form that the families sign, and the bold up there is kind of what we ask them, that we pledge to be faithful to our commitment to assist you in teaching and forming your child in the Catholic faith, and we ask you to pledge to be faithful to each of the following. So we ask them to go to church regularly, whether that's at our church, whether that's at a different Catholic church, or whether it's a Baptist or Lutheran or whatever church that they go to, that there is some sort of church weekly. We have 4 Parents Association meetings every year, and the parents it's mandatory that one of those parents be there every time. Sacramental meetings that go on, we ask that they volunteer 10 to 20 hours of their time, and that can be done in a variety of ways. With elementary kids, we have lots of moms coming in every day to read with kids or to correct papers, to be room parents. We just had a huge Halloween party, so there were a lot of moms there helping us with that. Like I said, our athletic program, we need coaches. We do lunch duty. We have a huge Christmas craft bazaar coming up in 2 weeks. So they get their 10 to 20 hours. Some of them get way more than that. Some of them might slide by with 5, I don't know. It's kind of hard to police, but we do our best. And then we also ask them to demonstrate a Christian attitude with parent and student. I asked some of my parents to give me a quote as to what they expect from their teachers in a Catholic school, and here's some of them. I expect that teachers in my child's school live lives of faith and visibly participate in the local and universal church. I expect them to be models of prayer and faithfulness, care about the spiritual life of their children. They expect a warm, personable environment where children are able to express their belief in God and develop lifelong values to guide them to be successful in their future. I'll read them all. You can take a look at them for a minute. We have the Diocese has a website, and I just shared this with you, that every time that there's an opening in one of our schools in the diocese, there's a posting there. So if you go to the dioceseofgrandrapids.org, if you're looking for a position, it lists the job and the school that it's in, the city, and it'll click you to a link to kind of see what the expectations, who to send a resume to. So that's it for that. Are there any questions? Anybody? I made 15 of these. I don't know if there's more than. This is just kind of we have a handbook of when you're choosing a new teacher, what to do, and this is just kind of what principals are looking for in resumes. We will put a position up, and we might get 400 or 500 resumes, and how do you pick from that? So some things that we might look for when you're preparing a resume.
I can make other copies.
I think I'm going to be one short.
You can just show.
Okay. What's that? My first position that I got hired for, I had this first couple interviews I had as a teacher were probably the worst 15 minutes of my life. The principal that hired me for my first real teaching job is a good friend of mine still, and she interviewed me a second time for another year. She had people telling him, "Give this guy a shot. He's actually much better than he might appear in an interview." I swear she asked me a question I just blurted out answers. It was, usually an interview would take an hour. Mine might have taken 15 minutes, and it was bad. So I got a second time. It's so much better to be on this side of the table now. But my advice to you is to practice, just to be yourself. Try to relax. Have somebody hold a mock interview with you. And I don't know if they do that here at school or
I think once you get
into the program.
education,
Okay.
program, they do.
It's I think it's crucial because we've probably passed on a lot of really good teachers just because of that first impression. It's really hard, and I tend to like everybody, and my staff will be like, we got to give these people a shot. But if you ever need anything or have questions, or if you want a mock interview, I'd be more than happy to assist you with that at some point. So, any questions that you might have?
All right. Well, my name is Jason Bannister. I'm the principal at Grand River Preparatory High School. My high school is a charter high school, and I'll talk a little bit about sort of the differences in charter high schools. For those of you that have sort of been watching the elections, or right before the elections, Superintendent Flanagan was looking at charter schools and asking the rest of the government or the rest of the state to look at charter schools and make some decisions on what's best for our students in the state of Michigan, and if charter schools are and which ones are. And so I'll talk just in a moment about what kind of charter school I work at and just a little bit about what other options there are for charter schools. But I'm at Grand River Prep. I am a principal that is a part of a network of schools. So my school is one of 5. We have 5 college preparatory high schools in Michigan. We have 2 in West Michigan, mine, which is in Kentwood. We have another one on the northeast side of Grand Rapids. And we have 3 on the east side of the state. All 5 of our schools' goals are to prepare students for college success. Because we are a charter school, we are a choice school. So families have to make the choice, the decision to not send their child to their local neighborhood school or their local religiously affiliated school, and instead send them to ours. And what that means for our families and for our students is usually an inconvenience. We don't bus, so they have to walk, they have to ride the city bus, or their parents have to drive them. And so it is a choice. For those of you that know about School of Choice is allowed for families to apply to go to other school districts, but sometimes their district has to release them, and the school district that they're trying to go to has to accept them. And we, because of Governor Snyder, don't have to worry about any of that. Instead, families just have to choose that they want to come to our school, and it reduces the paperwork. But what type of charter schools are there? Well, there are 2, really. There are the for-profit charter schools, and there are not-for-profit charter schools. I work for a for-profit charter school company, and so what that means is that we try to provide everything that your local neighborhood high school might provide, and we do it all while still trying to turn a profit. So in the end, our financial backers are trying to turn a profit at the end, and what we do with that is put that into another school to try to expand what we're doing. The nonprofit or the not-for-profit charter schools are just what they say. Every dime that they get, they put back into that school. So how are we alike or different from? And I thought we are a nonprofit public charter high school. And how is that different from maybe what you experienced in a traditional public high school? How is it different, and how are we the same? And so some of the things, there's no tuition to attend our school. So how are we like every other public school in the state of Michigan? There is no tuition to attend our schools. So that's how we're like the other traditional schools. How we're different, students do still need to apply to attend our school. So there's an application process. We have open enrollment. Our open enrollment runs from the first day of school to the last day of February. We set our seat number, which is not what happens in traditional public schools. Anybody that lives in the district can attend a traditional public school. We set a limit on how many students we will allow to attend our school. And that's why we have the application process. So we're only going to select, we're only going to accept as many as we set that number to be. And if we receive more applications than seats that we have available, we have to hold a lottery. And the lottery needs to be public and open for people to come in and watch the process to make sure that it's fair. I've been fortunate and unfortunate, I guess, in that we've hit our seat number over the last couple of years. We haven't had to hold a lottery. There's an excellent film out that's called Waiting for Superman, and it's sort of about attending charter schools in that process. And one of the things that they show, which is really sad, are in some places where families are coming out to watch this lottery and their numbers not being called, and they're there with their children, and their children aren't accepted, and they have to go home and find another choice. We've been fortunate enough to not have that experience. So we set seat limits. We do receive government funding because we are a public school. We receive government funding, and therefore we have to follow the government rules and policies, all the compliance that comes along with being a public school. What we don't receive would be the state, like the property tax. So for any of you that may own a home or your parents, you pay a property tax, and a portion of that property tax goes to your local area public school. We have to run our school without that property tax money. There are no millages for what we do. So everything that we do, we have to do with our per pupil funding. And so we have to stretch the dollar sort of as far as we can. We follow the Michigan merit curriculum. So what happens in our classrooms content-wise would be the same thing as any other public school that you would attend in the state of Michigan. We are bound to that, and I said we abide by all public school laws, regulations, and compliances, free and reduced lunch, Title I compliances, Title III compliances, and those are free and reduced lunch. The percentage of your students that receive free and reduced lunch, the percentage of your student body that are English language learners, we comply with all those compliances and laws just like any of your neighborhood public schools might. So who are we? Who is Grand River Prep as a school? We have a management company, as I said, and what that means is a lot of the financial pieces and some of the compliance, the marketing that we do, all is sort of done by an outside company, and then they provide it, they give it all to me, and I roll it out. We work with them for curriculum, so they take care of a lot of that for us. They take care of building maintenance, they take care of building purchases, they take care of the purchasing of books for me, and so they sort of do everything that your area school's central office might do. That's what they do for us. Our goal is college preparatory, so everything that we do over the 4 years that we have students there is really to prepare them to be successful in college, and we have specific expectations for graduation that align with that idea. All 5 of our schools sort of have that model. We're grades 9 through 12. I have 620 students in my building. I have 40 staff members, that's teachers, have a couple of paraprofessionals, some lunch staff, custodial staff, but the majority of it are teaching staff. We have 3 to 4 in every subject, foreign language, math, science, social studies, everything that you would typically see. 23 AP classes. Because we talk about being a college preparatory school, we try to offer as many AP classes as we can. I have 2 that are on a revolving status, so we don't offer them every year. We offer them about every 2 years, and that's AP Music Theory and AP Chemistry. But really our goal is to be able to give students an opportunity to push themselves and prepare for college and earn college credit if they can. One of the things about my staff, I have a really young staff. The average age of my staff is probably somewhere around 25. So myself, my assistant principal are like dinosaurs in the building compared to everybody else, and we are in our mid to late 30s. And we have a moral focused curriculum. And so every Monday and Friday for the first 35 minutes of our day, our students meet in what's called an advisory class. And we try to help to build sort of and have conversations around morality, around responsibility, around respect, around caring and community participation. And the goal is, and this is what I tell all of my families and all of my students, is we know that we're going to take students from all over the area, and they're going to come from all different backgrounds and be all different people. And in the end, after their 4 years with us, I really want for them to be a better citizen than what they were coming in. And we want to partner with parents to make sure that they have learned and we have upheld the values that they are teaching at home. So, as far as hiring for us, I think our hiring is probably similar to what you would experience at a lot of other schools. What we do is a cycle. So we bring people in all at the same time, and we have them cycle through maybe 3 different rooms with different teachers in every room and administrators. And so everybody will see the person, but we all will ask different questions so that we don't overwhelm them with a panel of like 20 people, but I have at least one representative from every department in there to meet the person so that we can have a discussion about who is going to fit what we do best. Because we work hard together, we spend a lot of time together, we want to make sure that we hire people that really want to be a part of that and that we can see ourselves growing with and getting along with. What else? Hardworking. I know that you guys are getting into education, and I hope that you understand, like, it's fun. We have a lot of fun. You get to work with kids, which I think keeps you young and keeps you fun and keeps you tuned in to what's going on. But it's a lot of hard work too. And it's not just hard work from 7 to 3 o'clock. Right, and I think that at times some people get into it and they're like, it's going to be great. I'm going to work from 7 to 3. Maybe I'll coach something because I love sports, and then I'll get Christmas and spring break and the summer off, and I'll rejuvenate, and then I come back to school and I start from scratch. When really, the good teachers are there all the time. They're there on the weekends. I have people that are in Saturdays or Sundays. I have people that are in over the summer. We hold professional development for our teachers over the summer. So we say, come in, we want to get you engaged in the newest thing that's happening. And so that idea of having the summers off, I think really doesn't happen. Not with the really good ones. I don't often see people over Christmas break or spring break, but for most of the other time, they're there and they're working hard. And that's really how you become the best teacher that you can. That's how you provide the best to your students. So hardworking and dedicated are really 2 of the things that we talk about a lot when we're hiring and really what we want. The other one is flexibility. We are a small school with just 40 staff members. It's a small school, and we offer a lot of courses. And so that's why I say, what is your teachable major? What is it that you want to teach? Sure, get a degree in that. But make sure that your minor is something that you can teach too, because you want to be marketable, and people want to be able to use you in more than just one facet in their building. And so I'm always looking, when I'm looking for science teachers, that's great that you can teach biology and chemistry. But if you have a DX, which means you can teach all the sciences, those plus physics, like, you're the person that's going to be the top one on my list to hire first. If you're a history teacher and you have a history degree, that's great. But if you have a social studies degree, and I know that I can have you in pretty much any course, any history course or social studies course that I offer, that's going to put you to the top of the list, because I really want somebody that that can teach more than one thing, and we need that. And when you think about your other subjects, if you're English or if you're math, think about your minor. Don't do an English major with like a writing minor because it's redundant. And I fell victim to that myself. I have a social studies degree with a geography minor. You can teach geography with a social studies major. And so like, it doesn't help you at all when you want to be marketable, especially Michigan still is a competitive market, even though I think we're hiring more teachers than we have in the last 10 years. This summer was probably the biggest hiring that I've seen definitely in the last 5. You still want to be thoughtful about what your degree is, what your major is, what your minor is. Make sure that they're not redundant. It'll help you in the long run. Personality. Like I said, we're hiring people that we know we spend a lot of time together, we're going to get along with. They're going to work hard just like the rest of us. You have to show your personality some in the meeting, because if you come across as like a robot, it's going to really give us a pause about whether or not you're going to fit with our students and with our staff. And then what else can you contribute? We love people that are very passionate about their content, but what are you going to do outside of the classroom to sort of engage with students? Are you going to coach something? And you don't have to coach, right? But you want to think about what else will you be involved in? Drama, science Olympiad, dances. Hey, I just want to help out with dances, or student council, or I want to have a writing club. We always ask our staff, people when we're interviewing, what else do you want to do? What else do you want to bring to students' lives? Because there are a lot of people that can teach your subject, but where else are you going to show passion for students, and where else are they going to get to know you? Because if they don't know that you care about them and are spending time to find out who they are and be engaged in their lives, they're not really going to care who you are or really want to learn from you. And be reflective. So we want people that are going to demonstrate that they can reflect on what they've done and improve on that. And we ask questions specifically to find out if people can do that. So we ask questions about your student teaching. Tell me about a time that a lesson went terrible. And sure, I want to hear about the terrible lesson, but I really want to hear is, without being prompted, what did you learn from that? What would you do differently the next time? And so we want people that are going to be reflective, because your first year is definitely tough. We want for people to, after that first year, to sit down with us and say, here's what went wrong, or here's what we did, I did that wasn't the best, and here's what I'm going to do moving forward. Here's my plan for next year so that I don't fall into that same pitfall. So I want people that are reflective and can demonstrate that in the interview. And the last one, highly qualified. You have to be highly qualified. You would be surprised at how many people apply for a job that aren't a teacher, don't even have a teaching certificate, and they just think that teaching is easy. Like, oh, I could do that because like I like kids, or I like science, or I have a science degree, but I've never taken a course in how to be a teacher. So you have to be highly qualified, because in the state of Michigan, we can't hire you if you're not. All right, so what are our students like, and how are our students the same or different than what you might find in other schools? Well, again, we are a choice school, so students choose to come from us. Now, I get about 75% of my students from the local area K-8 charter schools. But that other 25% are coming from a 20-mile radius of public schools. And then I get another small percentage from local private schools. So my students are coming from all over, all different backgrounds, all different experiences. My students, because of the way our school is mostly academic. So kids are coming to our school because they want to be prepared for college, and they think that we are going to be able to help them with that. So it's mostly academic, not athletic. If you walked through my hallways, you would see a surprisingly small group of kids. They're all a little bit smaller, they're all a little bit thinner. We don't have the football players. We have basketball, but we don't have the 6'2" kids. We are a school of smaller kids, but that's because athletics aren't the first thing on the priority list. We have athletics, we compete, but we aren't a school of big children. they're usually looking for a different option. So many of our students may live in an area where they have decided that this public school, it may be too big for them, they may be overwhelmed by the size of it. It may be that they think that the school isn't safe or that the school isn't rigorous enough, and so we are an option. They are coming because they want to choose something other than what they have. And we may not always be their choice either. A lot of times we are their parents' choice. And so we have students that are saying, well, my mom and dad have made me come here. And you know, some of them do the best that they can with that, and others are always trying to find a way to sort of get out of our school. But we are another option, sometimes theirs, sometimes their parents. And we are an extremely diverse school. And we are diverse ethnically, racially, religiously, just all across the board. Very diverse. We also have school uniforms, and just like the Catholic school, no logos, khaki, navy, light blue, white. And again, we also believe it shrinks the haves and have-nots. We try to stop that from coming up in our school. And it really allows for students to get to know each other and have conversations without discussing maybe the Hollister jeans that they're wearing or whatever that may be. And I think it really benefits our students and their relationships. All right. Parent expectations, we have in our handbook. So we give out a series of forms. Like I said, you have to apply to attend to our school. So the first thing that they get is an application. They apply. After they're accepted, we send out a ridiculous number of forms for parents to fill out. And amongst those, our commitment to excellence contract. We're just asking parents to read the handbook and to understand we have a rigorous school. You are going to get a lot of homework. Your students are going to need your support. We are going to need your support. Read the handbook, understand the expectations, understand the dress code, and understand that we are here to have a conversation with you if it's needed. Student expectations. I said that we're a college preparatory school, and so there are some things that we are allowed to go above and beyond the Michigan high school graduation requirements. Any school is. You can set your expectations for graduation above what the state of Michigan says you have to do, and so that's what we do. So we say students must take and pass 2 AP classes in order to graduate from our high school. They have to take them, they have to pass them, they don't have to take the test. They must have a minimum of 60 hours of community service in order to graduate, and they must be accepted to a 4-year college or university if they want to graduate from our high school. So those are our student expectations that sort of go above and beyond. And then why did I choose to work at a charter high school? I'm going to be really honest with all of you. Tell you just a little bit about my path to where I am. I graduated from a school in Grand Rapids. Sort of didn't know what I was going to do when I got out of high school, so I went to work in the factories, which you could do when I graduated. There were factories that paid really well, so I went to work at Steelcase. I made great money. 9/11 hit. It just quickly went down from there. So I went back to school. I said, you know, I love to read. I love to read and talk about history, so that's what I'm going to do. I actually came here to GRCC first, so I'm a GRCC alumni. Left here, went to Grand Valley, finished there, and when I graduated, everybody was saying, you've got to move out of state if you want to teach. And I don't know if they still tell everybody that, but that was the word. Like, you've got to move out of state. You've got to move out of state if you want to teach. Nobody's hiring in Michigan. So I went to all the career fairs here and had some friends in line for this charter school. And they said, come on over. I was like, well, I'll just talk with you guys and then I'll walk away. I don't even know who these people are. So the reason that I started at a charter school was because I stood in line, I got to the front, I talked to someone, they were in Michigan, and she said, hey, fill out an application, we'd love to interview you. So I said, do you mean I can stay in Michigan and I don't have to move? I'm all for that. I don't know anything about you guys, but I'm gonna look, I'm gonna read up, and I'm gonna come in and we're gonna interview. So the reason that I started was because I was able to stay in Michigan, I was able to get a job, I was able to teach what I wanted to teach in the high school, which was what I wanted to do. Perfect, it fits. Why I choose to stay is really what I think is important. And the reason that I choose to stay is because I believe that students need a choice. The kids that come to my school, they come there for a reason. They come there because they don't think that they're gonna make it, or that their school that's in their neighborhood is for them, and they're looking for something different. And my reason to get into education, besides talking about what I loved, was to make a change, and I'm able to make a change and make a difference in people's lives, and that is why I stay at a charter school, because I believe that it affords me the opportunity to be able to do that every day. So I will take any questions now, because that is it for me. If you have any questions for me.
I have some questions.
Sure.
What you were talking about the reflective piece in what you want in teachers, and so I'm wondering, like, what pieces you have in place for reflection once a teacher is hired and is working, and how that's carried out for growth in the
Sure.
following years.
So it is the expectation of myself and my assistant principal that we observe our teachers every other week, and the week that we don't observe them, we meet with them for reflection. So we're going to talk about what we saw in the classroom, and I have a strict rubric. Like, we're going to observe these things. I'm going to look for these things, and these are the things that I'm going to ask you about. The other piece of the reflection is, all right, now you tell me what's going on. And it can be anything. I leave it open to, you and your girlfriend broke up and you want to talk about it. We've got time. Let's talk about it. To this lesson went great, and I want to tell you about, like, the piece that you missed because you weren't there for the entire 95-minute block. And so that's part of it. And the other pieces, I encourage all of my teachers to first journal what's going on, journal your life, because you're going to want to look back and you're going to want to talk about it. And I also say, after their first year, if we have new teachers, I want you to go back and I want you to share those experiences with your new teachers. And with my teachers, I usually know, especially those after their first year, like, we know what they did well and what they struggled with, and so I'm pointing them in those directions to have those reflective conversations with their other staff. So, like, you struggled with classroom management last year, but you put some great pieces together at the end of the year, and moving into this year, things are going really well. I have this teacher that I really want for you to go and talk to and share your experience, because they're struggling with that, and so that's how I do it too. But I also want for people to be able to be reflective before they even get to me. Right, so we can have that conversation because I've hired somebody that I know is going to do that. And so that's why we ask those questions in the interview process. Thank you all for your time.